Playing with a boy. And here we freaking go, la-di freaking da, as the great and dead Chris Farley used to say. We're back. We're back. Constant content, constantly being released. 2 new Patreon posts just a mere minutes ago for you fine folks for a measly $3. 2 more posts this week. You're welcome. God bless us, and may God bless us, everyone. As Tiny Tim would say, $3, 2 more posts. That's all it is. Don't worry about the super chats. Just join the Patreon. And also, for the love of God, super chat, and you feel free to Venmo my accountant at DaveD23 and cut out the middleman. But that is the most money begging we're going to do, unlike all these other shows who just beg for 4 hours a day, 6 days a week. Anywho, we're back. Sports Mass Collective, episode 99. The date, December 20th. The year of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Howard Christ, 2024. Folks, there's only 3 weeks left of the NFL season. It feels like minutes ago we did week 1, and what do I tell you? Every year we've been doing this show, it's the quickest season in all of pro sports. It goes by in the blink of a dick. And here we are. We are on the home stretch, as the title of this show identifies. 3 weeks to go. Playoff picture very much coming into focus in a lot of ways, very much becoming more convoluted in others. And obviously we'll get to all that. We'll get to the games as I'm approaching 50 games over 500 on the year. It is unbelievable what is happening out here. Stancil Stradamus, the Socrates of sport, the Aristotle of athletics, the Nostradamus of national pastime. That's right. You came to the right place. Jim Stancil, Stancil Stradamus, All-American athlete, national Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer, and I'm just curious before we get started if anyone da da la da 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 da. Yeah, this, for the love of God, it's unbelievable. Every week it's something. I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi or my laptop. Same, again, as always, the exact same setup. I think it's Steve Jobs planned obsolescence, honestly. 2016 MacBook Pro. They don't want it to exist. Anywho, let me do this. Let me get set up here. I do desperately need a new computer. As always, I'll get to the poor people chats. If you want it definitely read, you're going to have to super chat it. But if not, don't worry about it. I'm trying to let the internet catch up here. But frankly, I don't care. I mean, I did a whole show last week without any audio. So there we go. There we go. All right. So anyway, where were we? I'll get to all of the picks for Dicks and all of the playoff picture. I mean, it is snowing here in the Northeast, here in Stanford, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. Why precipitation would have any effect on Wi-Fi in 2024 is unbelievable. I have a hunch it's this computer from fucking 1972. I don't really care about the video. As long as you can hear me, that's really all that matters. We'll get to college in a second, actually, which is rare. College football actually did something right for once. Let me touch on quickly what's his name, Bellinger to the Yankees. Certainly, anyone who thinks this is a replacement for Soto is kidding themselves. Juan Soto was in a totally different class than Bellinger. But it is a nice piece for the Yankees, a nice pickup at a decent contract. Certainly not a replacement for Bellinger. They also got Max Fried, who they overpaid for, we talked about last week, and they got the closer, I believe, from the Brewers, who blew their season to the Mets. So that's great and good for them. Just a note there. We got a big episode next week, episode 100. I hate this computer. I hate America. That's not true. I hate mostly just hate this computer and technology. I don't know why this. Well, I know why, because I have ADHD. And I have an ADHD and a genius IQ. It's just a curse more than a blessing, folks. It's a burden I have to cross and burden I have to bear. I don't know if I ever told this story. I forget why I even thought of it. I played lacrosse in college with a guy with no arm and two hands. His name was Bone. We called him Bone, not his government name. And he was a pretty good lacrosse player. So he had one normal arm, and then I'll do a visual here. And then he had a hand coming out of his shoulder. And I played lacrosse with him in college. And let me tell you, folks, the man could ball. He would cradle up here with his no arm, one hand side. And because if you went to try to check him, it was easy to hit him in the head, which is a 2-minute unreleasable penalty, folks. There's a little tidbit you're not going to get anywhere else about lacrosse. And obviously he had a normal other arm. And that is a fun fact you're only going to get from Jim Stansel. And now he's dead. True. That's a true story. Called him Bone because he had bone cancer. That's how he lost the arm. And unfortunately, as we talked about on the last show, cancer always wins. So anyone ringing bells in cancer's face is an idiot. I don't give money to cancer because it's nonsense. I think they have the cure and they're just not telling us. That's a whole other bag of hammers. Yeah, it's the Julio in the chat. Lots of clicking from your audio. It's the Wi-Fi. Here's what I'll do one time. I'm going to sign out and sign back in. And after that, I don't give a fuck about the audio. But thank you, Julio. Let's try one more time. I'll be right back. All righty. Well, whatever it sounds like now is as good as it's going to get, and I'm not stopping again. I misspoke. I didn't say I hate America. Shut up. No, I'm going to take that out. We'll take that part out in post. Anywho, where were we? Oh, yes, Bone. I played lacrosse with Bone in college. He had one arm, and he had a hand coming out of his shoulder, and he was a damn good player, and now he's dead because of bone cancer. And that's the synopsis of that story. Can we move on now? The audio's working. It's episode 99. Episode 100 is next week. I plan on getting Mead live and in person, just like old times, because I know that's what the people want. And I believe nobody works next week except me, apparently. So tune in next week, episode 100, big show. You know, again, we don't do guests here. Guests are a crutch. Stream sniping is a crutch. Clip watching is a crutch. Reading super chats for 4 hours is a crutch. I do real shows. This show is born out of sport. This is a sports talk radio spin-off satire comedy bullshit show. Shout out WFAN 660 AM, folks. Mike and the Bad Dog. Tony Page. Did all these other clowns doing sports shows even listen to these icons of sport? I think not. Anybody in the tri-state that knows sports knows Mike Francesa, knows the Mad Dog, knows Tony Page, knows Steve Summers, knows Papa Joe Chevalier, who is also dead now. Anywho, Joe Beningo, of course. The legend Joe Beningo. Hey, bro, what are the Jets doing, bro? Anywho, college football playoffs begin tonight. I'll get the matchups in a second, but let me say this. You know, I rip college football every week. It's a segment on this show. It's a staple of this show. And I stand by everything I've ever said about the college football regular season, but I will give credit where credit is due. The college football playoff and expanding it to, I believe, 12 teams now is probably the best decision college football may have ever made in their history, whereas 90% of their season is blowouts and shit matchups. The college football playoffs actually have some very interesting and fun games, starting with tonight. It is, and this is really a fun one, honestly, and I'm not just saying that. It is Indiana at Notre Dame. La da 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 da. Ooh. La da da. Why is this so hard? Once again, I don't know why everything is so fucking difficult. It is unbelievable. Is this why people have producers? Well, producers are gay. Hey, NCAA website, just show me the fucking games. Jesus Christ. Yes, tonight, which might be the most interesting game of this first round, actually. Indiana, a basketball school, having an all-time year for that football program. Very rare there in Indiana, and they are staying in Indiana to play Notre Dame, right? Oh, no, Notre Dame's in Indiana. What's it called? Happy Valley is the pedophile school. What's the Notre Dame town it's in? I'll allow it in the free chat. South Bend. This has nothing to do with what I'm talking about, but I'm just going to leave it up there because it's funny. South Bend, Indiana. No, thank you, ACDC. I beat you to it. Next time, super chat it. You guys know I'm being satirical when I talk about super chat stuff all the time, right? Apparently, Garrett, which we found out yesterday on Garrett is Eve, is the only person who understands my bits and what I'm doing because he's also high IQ. Nobody else understands what I'm doing. And once again, on that note, can somebody please ask Luis J. Gomez if he works out? I can't tell. At him on Twitter and just ask him. Say, at Luis J. Gomez, that's his handle. Say, do you work out? I was just wondering. I'm not sure. Because I'm just not sure. I can't tell from all his bitch-made daily gym posting if he works out or not. And again, you folks watching the show are high IQ like me. I assume you know I'm doing a bit by posting anytime he posts at the gym. If you think I'm seriously posting that, you're an idiot. I believe you're all smart enough to understand that, hopefully. But please, yes, go on Twitter and not only add him, but comment on his own posts. Even if it has nothing to do with the gym, just ask him, do you work out? You could at me if you want. You don't have to. Just say, we were wondering if you work out. I can't tell. South Bend, Indiana. Indiana at Notre Dame. The Battle of Indiana, a state no one cares about. I've driven through it. It sucks. Just like Buffalo, New York, where all they have is football and pushing children with cancer down flights of stairs because Bills Mafia have achieved the number one spot for trash fans in football over the Raiders, over Philly even. The Bills Mafia, at least Philly, the town, has some culture. They have other sports teams that are worth talking about. In Buffalo, all they do is eat wings, fart, and wear very loose jeans, throw each other through tables, cover themselves with condiments. It's a fucking disgusting people. And I can't get over it. That was the last straw, pushing that little girl down the stairs who had cancer. Because, like I said in that episode, I believe it was episode 97, they stink of sulfur, a bit of sulfur and vinegar from the stench from their rubbing legs, their fat bodies rubbing together, the stench of vinegar a bit. And, of course, from the wings, since that's all they eat. They're all morbidly obese up there in Buffalo, and the fans are trash. But that's neither here nor there. Well, I guess it's here because that's sports-related. And then Indiana-Notre Dame tonight, very fun game, very interesting. A matchup you're only going to see in the playoffs, which is why I got to give credit where credit's due for these college playoffs. Clemson, Texas tomorrow. Tennessee, Ohio State tomorrow. That's a 9-8 seed. SMU and Penn State, who gives a fuck? And then 4 teams have byes. So good on college football for that. I'll tell you what's not good on college football. This NIL, this player, how they're playing the players now, this whole deal they have. This is going to need to be regulated somehow. There's no restrictions on transfers for these players. There's no restrictions really on what they're paying these guys. So now, how it used to be, a smaller school, not a smaller, but like a mid-major school, if they did really well, scouting, they might get a star high school player to come to their school and turn out he's, a top 10 player nationwide. That used to be how the mid-majors compete. Now what will happen is that player will play a year and then just get bought out by one of the big guys. So it's killing. There's no chance for these mid-major schools to get ahead, really, because if you're a star player, you're going to get bought out by one of these bigger schools. And it seems like this whole thing is getting out of control quickly. It's a bit of the Wild West with these paying players in college. I'm not going to sit here and act like I know the ins and outs. This is a comedy sports show, so frankly, I don't need to know, and I don't give a fuck, especially because it's college football, which is just the farm league for the NFL, and there's really no reason to watch college football since the Pro League is on Sunday, so there's no reason to watch. Speaking of, my fantasy team is 12-2. I just had a bye week of the first round of the playoffs, so now I'm in the semifinals, and I'll keep you up to. I'm gonna kill myself. Anywho, let's get to the NFL. That's enough nonsense. Let's go around the league a little bit. Let's start with my dear Jets. Let me get a swig of this. I'm also waiting on a delivery, so if you see me jump off, I'll be right back. Now that's brisk, baby. Remember those commercials? I have ADHD. Anywho, listen, Aaron Rodgers. I've said it in weeks past. I'll continue to say it as we approach the end of the season here. Why would you not bring Rodgers back? Just so you know, Rodgers has 23 touchdowns and 8 interceptions on the year. I understand their record sucks. I understand players are... listen, You can't tell. The talent is there on the Jets. And I'm a Jets fan. They have had zero coaching the last 2 years. They've had zero plan from not just the head coach, the whole coaching staff from the top down. There's been no plan week to week on success. They're a listless ship, as us mariners would say. Just a ship in the ocean with no wind, no direction. It feels like they've just been showing up. So, and you let me cut to the chase, and I'll come back. You have to bring Rodgers back next year. Who are you going to get? If you don't bring Rodgers back, who are you going to get that would be an improvement? You want Kirk Cousins, who has, and I'll get to him in a minute because I've been right all along about Kirk Cousins, by the way. Kirk Cousins, who has 1 touchdown and 9 interceptions in his last 6 games. Do you want some other fucking middling free agent quarterback? You have a Hall of Fame quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Again, I understand they're not winning games. 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, and still behind an O-line, an injured O-line who at the beginning of the season looked to be an improvement and turned out to be the same bullshit. 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, terrible coaching, terrible game plans. You're not going to get it. The best case scenario, folks, I'm telling you this, Stancil Stradamus, I'm never wrong. Check the tapes. Check the 98 other tapes of this show. The best case scenario, bring Rodgers back, clean out the coaching staff, let the front office hire the coaches. That's one stipulation with Aaron. It's not the Aaron Rodgers show this time around. When he was signed, they let him pick all the players he wanted, all the coaches he wanted. He brought in Hackett, and he okayed Saleh. He had these guys holding his pocket. So next year, going into the offseason, it's not the Aaron Rodgers show. They're going to let the GMs be the GMs. They're going to let the front office be the front office and sign the right people to lead the coaching staff and in the clubhouse. Then draft a quarterback and have him draft the quarterback you believe in. Hopefully. We should have a high pick. You should have a decent shot at a quarterback. I know we keep drafting quarterbacks and we keep losing out, and I hate to do it again, but you have to do it. There's no other answer. Unless you want to try to refurbish some free agent quarterback, the best case scenario, Stancil Stradamus, bring back Aaron Rodgers. We'll have a high draft pick, get a quarterback that has NFL potential, and let him play behind Aaron Rodgers for at least 1 year, hopefully 2 years. Bring back the talent. The talent is on the staff. Shore up the O-line again. Maybe bring in another receiver. Maybe draft another young receiver. But the talent is on the roster, folks. And you're not going to get a better option at quarterback than Aaron Rodgers on the free agent market. Even if you trade, who would you want to trade for? Realistically, that's going to be better than Aaron Rodgers. They're not out there. So any of these idiots, and I know you folks are on my team because you're smart. So I'm telling you this as always to go out in the world and tell their people. Any of these mouth-breathing idiots who say, I got to get rid of Rodgers. This guy stinks. He's having a bad year. 23 touchdowns, 8 interceptions with terrible coaching, lackluster effort from everybody around him. You're not going to have a better option at quarterback than Hall of Famer, first ballot Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion Aaron Rodgers next year. Draft a quarterback to play behind him, and let's move along. Okay, let me be clear about that. I hear all these talking heads on ESPN and the radio and all these other dumb shows. These people are just talking, not like me. These other people are just talking to hear themselves talk. I'm making points. I do 1 show a week for 1 hour. Maybe 2 shows if Ski Mask ever fucking does anything. That's a whole other bag of hammers. If fucking Ski Mask ever does anything, I'm the king of the content around here, and I goddamn well am taking the full cut for this month. Thank you, you fine people. For the Patreon, too. If you tuned in late or I was choppy at the top, 2 new Patreon videos just uploaded. One is transformative content. It's all kinds of content. One of the pieces just out of the Patreon is just me on my kayak, POV, point of view, for a half hour. Second half of the video, I talk a little bit, but it's mostly just POV. Put that thing on in the background next week for the holidays. Put me on a kayak on the TV light the fire, put me on a kayak for the family to watch together. It's unbelievable. The only man out in Long Island in December. No boats, no nothing. The only man around here anymore, apparently. Anyway, thank you to all those. The Patreon, by the way, is cooking, as they say. Thank you to all the people that have joined. $3 gets you everything. Look at it as a once-a-month super chat. Even if you don't watch anything, just help out your fellow common man. Feel free to super. Again, and as always, I said it at the top, but I don't know, my audio is bad. If you want something, I'll go through the poor people chat, as I always do, because I'm a man of the people. But if you want something definitely read and read quickly, you're going to have to super chat it. That's just business. Because other than that, I got a lot of shit to get to here. All right, let's go around the league from last week. The Bills-Lions, we learned a lot that game, and I didn't. If you watch this show, you didn't either. I told you the Lions' record was above what they were. I've been saying that a while. They have a great offense. Now that their defense is now decimated, the defense, let me make this short. The Lions are done. The Lions might be one and done in the playoffs now. I didn't think they were Super Bowl contenders anyway. Now they're certainly not winning a Super Bowl, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're knocked out in the first round, certainly the second. Their defense is cooked. I mean, they just gave up 42 points, and I believe they gave up another 30 points a week before or something. I could be wrong. Check the tapes. Call Jamie. I don't have a producer. I don't have money. I don't even have a fucking computer. I have a fucking typewriter here, basically. The Lions are done. So, they may not even win that division, by the way. The Vikings are one game behind, and we'll go around the standings in the playoff picture before we do the picks. We'll go over it officially. And I'm still not, I told you all year, if you watch the show, I haven't been that high in the Bills all year. I'm sorry. Everybody's on Josh Allen's cock for some reason now because he tore apart a Lions defense that's decimated. And by the way, the Bills still gave up 38 points. I understand the Lions have a great offense. They lost their running back, which that was their whole thing, by the way, was the 1-2 punch with Montgomery and Gibbs, right? That was their whole thing. Now that's gone. The defense is decimated. Another injury on defense. And the Bills, the other side of this, I understand Rodgers or Allen had 5 touchdowns. He had that little toss throw. Allen's a good quarterback. I'm not saying he isn't. But he's not a world. I'm sorry. I don't get caught up in the hype. As an athlete, as a high-level, high-tier elite athlete myself, I don't get caught up in the hype and looking at what could be. I look at what's in front of me. And the Bills don't have enough weapons on offense in the playoffs. I don't love the defense. Like I said, they gave up 38 points to the Lions last week, I believe, 30-something. And remember, and by the way, the Bills are going to win the last 3. They play the Patriots, the Jets, and the Patriots are their last 3 games. So again, as I've said all year, they play 6 games. The AFC East, besides the Bills, maybe the worst, pound for pound, the worst division in football. And the Bills get to play them 6 times. I do not have high hopes for the Bills, even with that win last week. Stradamus racked me. By the way, Dan Campbell, the Lions coach, needs to calm down with his fucking play calling and decisions he's making. They did an onside. Did you see this? They did an onside kicks down by 10 with 12 minutes left in the game. And he's done some other crap. I didn't write it down because, again, I don't give a fuck. But he did some other shit the last few weeks. Just very weird play calling. His balls are bigger than his sack. I believe that's a saying I just made up. Yeah. So that was the Bills-Lions. Yeah, it's too much to overcome for the Lions in the playoffs. They may still win the division. They may not. But as I've said for a little while now, yes, do not bet on the Lions winning the Super Bowl. I'm going to put them out in the second round. They might even have a first-round bye. I'm going to say Lions are done in the second round. Rack me. Stanislav Stradamus. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. No, you're welcome. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome for this. Somebody's got to tell you people what to do. Yeah. you want to talk about the MVP. Everybody now in the last couple weeks is on Josh Allen's cock for beating these shitty teams. Saquon Barkley. I know they hate giving the MVP to running backs, but Saquon Barkley is having an unbelievable year. His first, right? Is this his first full year or second full year with the Eagles? He was injured last year, right? Some shit. I don't fuck. Again, this is a comedy sports show. I don't really give a fuck. I'm probably wrong about everything I said. I don't fucking care, but I'm also always right. It's interesting. The Eagles continue to take care of business. We'll take a look again. We'll take a look at the standings in a bit. The Eagles. I think the Eagles. Well, we'll get to that when we get to the. Oh, hold on. We'll get to that when we get to the picks, or the power rankings. Sorry. The Texans, by the way, kind of been in and out of the clouds, and all of a sudden the Texans are still looking quietly, very quietly in the background of all this. The Texans continue to be a solid little team there. Just throwing that out there. I don't have any big point with that, but just putting that in your little brains. I really like that offense. Very tight offense there. C.J. Stroud, the run game, the receivers. Be careful with the Texans. Not a team you want to play. Similar to the Bucs, where the record may not be there. Tampa Bay Bucs, not a team you're going to want to play in the playoffs. Same with the Houston Texans. Just throwing that out there. Stancil Stradamus. Speaking of the Bucs, some big wins last week. The Bucs, a huge statement upset win versus the Chargers last week. Good for them. I've said it a while this year. The second half of the year, I've really come around on Baker Mayfield and the Bucs. They have a good little team there. Tremendous chemistry. You want to talk about the opposite of the Jets and the coaching. Great job there in Tampa. What's his name is doing, the black guy. Packers, a big win against the Seahawks. Packers, another team, inching their way to the top of the playoff and Super Bowl conversation, actually. Quite, again, I don't think personally they're there, and I don't mind the Packers, but I don't think they're ready just yet, but some people are talking about it. And the Broncos, a big win over the Colts, although they did have that tough loss last night against the Chargers. So again, we'll get to the standings. By the way, what was it, Monday night, the Raiders-Falcons game, just before we get to we'll go around the standings, do the power rankings, and we'll get to the picks. Another terrible, terrible fucking call by NFL refs deciding a game. If you didn't see it, pull it up on your phone or whatever. Pull it up on the side right now or after this. A roughing the passer call was made. I believe it was third down. It was called on the Raiders. And a roughing the passer call was made on Kirk Cousins. He was hit while releasing the ball. Didn't even hit him in the head. Defender actually had his arms up. Hit him chest to chest at shoulder level. And they call a roughing the passer call that essentially sealed the game for the Falcons when they were about to turn it over. And the Raiders had all the men. Like I said all year, I feel bad for the Raiders. I've watched them. They've had a lot of primetime games for whatever reason, and they play hard for Antonio Pierce. I know they have 2 wins, I think. Maybe, I forget. I think they just have 2 wins, but good on them and good on Antonio Pierce for the sake of the franchise. I hope those guys get some people going into next year because they're a fun team. Max Crosby is a wigger, but that's okay. And again, Stancil Stradamus, folks. I hope you truly don't watch or listen to any other sports show but this one. Have I not told you forever, not only this year, but in years past, I've never believed in Kirk Cousins, similar to Brock Purdy, and I've been proven right on both, especially Kirk Cousins. He's a compiler. He'll have those games where he goes off for 6 touchdowns against a shitty team. As I said at the top, I don't know if my audio was good, Kirk Cousins has 9 interceptions in his 1 touchdown in 9 interceptions in the last 6 games. And as much as I've never believed in Kirk Cousins, that coaching staff has done no favors for fucking Kirk Cousins. Totally don't know how to use him. I mean, he's a veteran quarterback at this point. They're babying these baby plays. So anyway, he's actually been benched. Somehow the Falcons are still in the playoff conversation because of that terrible division. And Michael Penix Jr. will start this weekend. I'm very excited about this. I think Penix is going to be a very good NFL quarterback. I was right about Bryce Young not being a good quarterback. I was right about Caleb Williams not being ready to be an NFL quarterback. Watch out this Sunday. I think Michael Penix Jr. is going to have a bit of a coming out party, and not because he's a gay, because he's a good quarterback. So excited to see how he plays. Don't be surprised if Cousins come back. They may have just be giving him, hey, like I just told you that stat, 1 TD, 9 interceptions. They must be, hey, we can't roll you out there. The season's on the line. We got to try something. So don't be surprised if Cousins is not benched for the year. I suspect he'll be back, especially if they make the playoffs. But interesting to see Michael Penix Jr. this Sunday. All right. Let's take a look at the standings let's take a look at you poor people. What you poor people are spouting off about now. Da 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 da. Let's see if there's anything worth. Oh my God, what is all of these chats? Da 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 da. Froggy wants to fuck Flat Cat. Let's do it. Da 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 da. Of course, Kevin Brennan is a big old rickety crutch from Julio. I'm a Patreon member. You said it on the Super Chat. AZDC, that's fine. I'll allow it. Anyone else? 2 new Patreon just added. Yes. If you join the Patreon, I absolve you from Super. I don't even give a fuck if you Super Chat anyway. In my opinion, your Super Chat goes a lot further on our programs than these pay pig programs that are on 6 days a week just to drain you. Whereas I put out, apparently Ski Mask is dead weight now. I put out 1 or 2 solid, actual good shows a week rather than 6 drawn out 6-hour shows about the same fucking people over and 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 over. I'm not even being hyperbolic. I truly mean it. I don't understand how any of you people can still watch MLC. And I love Kevin and his mind, but as I said, I since day one, literally, I've never given a fuck about Stuttering John. I've never given a fuck about Shuley. I've never given a fuck about the beef between any of these people. Who gives a fuck? And it's still going on. I don't give a fuck about any beef with Ray. Kevin can say all he wants. Ray DeVito's a good stand-up comic, period, stop. Ask actual comics and not you fucking vegetables and trolls. He's an actual, real stand-up comic. So Kevin can say all he wants. Kevin sits in his room and begs people, the same 15 people, for money every day. Rack me. Anywho. What else? Corndiff and the Heezy. Corndiff's, I've always said this, and against Stancil Stradamus, I stand on business, or whatever the kids say. Corndiff, I've said from day one, you can go check the tapes back in SMC episode 100 something. We're approaching 290 now. Corndiff has always been my most tolerable fruit and vegetable of all those freaks and losers. I've never really, the potato, Cardiff, he talks like this, and he doesn't really have a sense of humor. He just kind of talks like this and says corny shit. And just like I prove with the puppet, just like I prove with the fucking puppet, anybody can do this stuff. And just like I'm a potato, I can do that. Corndiff I've liked. He uses a voice. I don't know. Corndiff, for some reason, I never minded. I don't know why I just went on a rant about that, but anywho. Isn't it funny that now Kevin's booking the people who used to be guests on our show, like Teamster Tim and Lady KB, and people that were like, and that's not a knock on these people, it's a knock on Kevin. People that are on like this level, and that's who Kevin's getting now, and he used to have like actual comics, which was interesting. Anywho! I don't know what this means, but I like the name, and it's a Honky Tonk, Tennessee. Maybe longer-legged ladies draped in Adidas thigh-high tops. WNBA have cheerleaders? No idea what happened there, but I love it. Da, 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 da. Rippers after school. If Darnold gets 40 million, Purdy get 45 minimum. Yes, interesting, Rippers, and God bless you and your family this holiday season, as you have been a constant supporter. We appreciate you. Yes, obviously I know Darnold well from his days of the Jets. Exactly, Ripper. I'm glad you said that. Sam Darnold, Brock Purdy, Kirk Cousins, all these are all middling quarterbacks. Darnold, unbelievable talent on that Vikings offense around him, and he's a game manager. So that's why he's doing well. Kirk Cousins in the past, great talent, does great. Shit goes bad, he does bad. Brock Purdy, do I even need to say it? Look what happens when a few people get injured. The 49ers stink. And these are the people, to go back to bring it all back around, these are the type of quarterbacks, if you're not going to bring Aaron Rodgers back to the Jets, these are the type of middling people you're going to be signing. Do you want Sam Darnold over Aaron Rodgers? Do you want Brock Purdy over Aaron Rodgers? Do you want Kirk Cousins over Aaron Rodgers? No. You have to bring Aaron Rodgers back. He's the best option out there. Draft a young quarterback with our high draft pick because we fucking suck this year. Have him play behind a Hall of Famer for a year. And let's move on. Rock me, Santos Stradamus. I did it. I'm great. Teamster Tim, is this Teamster Tim in the Heezy? I don't know what he's talking about, but God bless. Teamster Tim, it's snowing out. Go in that Vince Lombardi and blow a dude or two. Okay, here's Teamster Tim with the Vince Lombardi. I almost joked. I love you, Timmy. Oh my God! Did you guys see this? I have ADHD. I don't care. Did you guys see this picture this week, folks? I'll pull it up in a getaway. By the way, Gino and Garrett show, very fun last night. You can check that out after this. Look at this picture, folks. This is the crop version. This is from the first secret show we did at Mead's house. Again, real people who left our house, who supported comedy. Look at the faces in this. I cropped out the front of the picture. Screenshot that if you want, and then take a look with me. I'm going to go through everybody who's in that picture. All the legends most of you people still talk about are all in this picture. Let's see. I'll name them. Let's see. Oh, my God. We have George Chigger, Marshall Beaupre, Andrea from Queens. We have Aaron Berg's bike seat. Patches, what's his name? The ginger dude from Rhode Island. What's his name? Good Egg. I think he's still around. We have Caucasian Honger. We have Tony from New Jersey, the beautiful women Tony. We have Ellis from Philly. Osei Caleb, great comic. Eye in the Sky is in the background. Ski Mask is in the background. Hack Jokerson is in the background. White Julio is in there. Tom, and I forget his wife's name, is in there. Regular Julio is in there. And that's just in the back of the picture. Oh, what's his name? I think that guy Rocky is in there. Yeah, we actually do stuff over here. Not just talk about other grown men drama. Remember? Never forget who you're listening to. This ain't a comeback. I've been here for years. As Lil Wayne said, when the jungle was open, I rolled in with the riders, stole food from the bears, and bought it back to the lions. What was his other line? What was other Lil Wayne's line that I like? Anyway, I don't know. Teamster Tim got me all riled up. What is with all these poor people chats? You fucking give Kevin Brennan money for talking about the same shit every day. You people suck. Oh, this is interesting. Thanks, Chris Mack. He's a YouTube member. By the way, YouTube member, it does have benefits. These, anything but, all the lives I do, I make them members only until I can get to my computer and put them on the Patreon. So there's benefits for every level, whether it's Patreon or join a YouTube membership. You get benefits for everything, actually. We don't just siphon your money like all these other shows just for nothing. Chris Mack, Stancil, you heard about this ref controversy during last night's Bulls-Celtics game. I have not. Let me pull it up. If you feel free to expound on it. All OGs, Dr. Chow, that is correct. Unbelievable. Legends. Everybody, Garrett, Steve, Gino, everybody I talk to, by the way, wants me to start my own channel. Hold on. Let me take this call real quick. Hashtag real job, hashtag real life, hashtag leave your house. While I'm pulling up this Bulls, this ref controversy Chris Mack speaking of, let me just touch on, thank you for bringing it up. What a joke. How about what a joke and how embarrassing the NBA has become. Thank you for bringing that up, Chris Mack. I meant to put that in my notes because everybody, the thing came out. I think NBA ratings are down 48% in the last 2 years. And I'm glad, thank you for bringing that up. I can't thank you enough because I really want to hammer this home again. Similar, you have all these people saying all these different things. It's very simple, folks. Selfish and lazy players. It all comes back to that. Selfish and lazy players. You can blame Adam Silver if you want, but he's trying to make lemonade out of the lemons he's been given. These players they shoot all these threes because they're lazy, and that's the gameplay. I've been telling you for years. I saw this coming. If you've been watching this show for years, you know it. You're saying at home, oh, my God, Jim Stancil called this years ago. This is the problem. When everybody's okay shooting threes, when everything is a foul in the paint so you can't bang in the paint, it's a terrible product. I don't want to see 7-foot guys shooting threes. Wembayama, who gives a fuck? Wembayama wouldn't last a week in the 90s NBA. He'd be fucking banged down into the paint till he broke his back. Frankly, I'm telling you, folks, Wembayama's not going to play 10 years in the league. He literally weighs as much as these headphones. I mean, it can't last. Everybody's on that. He's a freak, and not in a good way, Wembayama. Selfish and lazy players. So once these guys, it's why the All-Star game is a joke. Why? Let me put it to you this way, and I'll be devil's advocate of myself. Why would these players play hard or care? They're getting huge contracts. The league babies these guys like they're fucking babies. Adam Silver just fucking sucks the BBCs. You know, the big Teamster Tim knows what I'm talking about. Sucks the big black cocks of these and Serbian cocks of all these players. Oh, whatever you want, Jokic. Oh, whatever you want, Giannis. Oh, whatever you want, Kevin Durant. He does whatever they want. Nobody is held accountable for anything. They have players resting. I mean, does anybody give a fuck about Joel Embiid? What has he played? Like 50% of the games last 2 years? Who cares? Then he doesn't play. These guys don't even play the regular season. That's why nobody gives a fuck. And the playoffs fucking suck too. Who wants to watch 140 to 120 games? Who wants to watch 115 to 100 games? Give me games 80 to 100. Hard playing. Give me players that don't like each other. These guys are fucking basically blowing each other after every game at mid-court. They're all in the same clubs. That is the reason. There's all these other reasons that come out of it. But it's selfish players. It's lazy players. It's a commissioner who just babies and sucks a cock at these players, never calls anybody out. And what you have is 48% drop in ratings. Surprise! Stancil Stradamus did it again. I told you the NBA sucked. The NBA basketball is the opposite of football with college. College basketball is much more palatable than the NBA. NBA gameplay, as I've been saying since this program began 4 or 5 years ago, the NBA is the regular season NBA is totally unwatchable, and then they try to get you with this silly. How silly is this NBA Cup? Oh, you colored the court. Who gives a fuck? A meaningless. Each player gets $500,000 if they win. Okay, that means something to the last like 4 people on an NBA roster. For these other guys, it's pocket change. God, NBA Cup, how embarrassing. And now this All-Star game, they have like 4 different teams. Just don't play the game. Why? Just don't have an All-Star break. Do like what the NFL has gone to. Just do like skills. And these guys don't give a fuck. That's the problem. You can make all these little fucking NBA Cups and these silly All-Star things and move the 3-point line back, move it in, make 4-point, but do all that bullshit. It comes back to selfish players who've become lazy because everybody babies them, because we treat these fucking grown adults. Nobody can do anything wrong in the NBA because everybody's too scared to call them dumb, which they mostly are, probably the lowest IQ of all the pro sports in basketball. Let's be honest. And again, I'm just telling the truth because nobody else can do it anymore. For everything. For sports, for these dumb podcasts, everybody's too scared to tell the truth. They're too scared to piss somebody off, or they're too scared to lose a super chatter. Kevin has to be able to pay his mortgage. You can't piss Borgo or Gustav off. Fucking hacks. So he has to do these shitty shows. I'm sorry. I don't know why it always comes back there. That is kind of the core of this whole channel, Ski Mask Media. But yes, it all comes back to MLC has gone to shit and the NBA sucks. Now, what I never even got to this ref controversy. Joe Mazzulla goes after refs. Jaylen Brown calls bullshit after Celtics get 2 techs in loss to Bulls. I'm going to be honest, Chris Mack. I'm not going to read this. I'm just not going to read it. Feel free to put it in the chat, for the poor people chat, if you want to briefly explain it. 30-year marriage, 2 sons, versus a guy who showers with men and sucks dildos with Gino. Proof in the pudding. Yeah. Teamster Tim likes to put some proof in his pudding, if you know what I mean. Here's Teamster Tim at the John Bon Jovi rest area with Ray DeVito this weekend. Love you, Timmy. I remember when Timmy was straight. Okay. Here we go. Let's see. All right, let's get to the standing. Let's get to the picks, and let's get the fuck out of here because I got a real life and a real job. And blah 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 blah. Hey, don't ever text me. Bills 11-3. That division is done. Chiefs 13-1. That division is done. I have to look up. Is Mahomes playing? Feel free to, Chris Mack. I see. I didn't read it, but I see your thing. I'll get to that in a minute. If I were the Chiefs, frankly, I wouldn't play Mahomes the last 3 games. Why play him? The Chiefs are smart. They may not. They don't need these games. They can lose all 3 and still win that division easily. So the Chiefs are a smart franchise. Like I said all year, the Chiefs are there to win the Super Bowl. They don't give a fuck about blowing out the Titans or, as long as they get these wins, that's all that matters. Guys, you can say all you want about all these other teams. The Chiefs are back-to-back champs, and they have 1 loss with 3 games to play. Who do you think is the best team in the NFL? Sorry. I know everybody the refs love the Chiefs. Oh, they have all these 7 wins by 1 score or less. Okay. Are they wins or are they losses? Because I'm pretty sure they're wins. They're 13-1. I don't know why am I so mad? So that division is done. The AFC North, interesting, very interesting, and another huge matchup this weekend. The Steelers in first place at 10-4, and the Ravens in second place at 9-5, and that's going to cause a lot of controversy when I get to my power rankings in a second. And I believe they play each other this weekend, right, guys? Yep, huge game tomorrow at 4:30. And I'll get to why you need to kick your wife down a flight of stairs and send your parents to a nursing home in a minute. AFC South locked up for the Texans at this point. Texans are 9-5. Colts are 6-8. Technically, the Colts can win out and have some things go their way and win that division. I don't see it happen. Like I said, the Texans are also playing well, very quietly. But with all this other shit going on, the Texans are playing well. Be careful with the Texans in the playoffs. They are in there. They're going to win that division. So, what does that mean for the AFC wild card? And then we'll get to the NFC. We're looking at the Chargers and Broncos now, both 9-6. Chiefs are going to win that division. So it's going to be 3 out of these 4, basically. Basically, it's going to be the Chargers are 9-6, the Broncos are 9-6, the Ravens are 9-5. So depending on who wins that division, the Steelers or the Ravens, very much up in the air, very much big time. Has a lot to do with what happens tomorrow. So basically, whoever doesn't win that AFC North, whoever finishes second, the Steelers or the Ravens, the Chargers and the Broncos, that's 3 teams for 2 spots, folks. Right? I don't fucking know. How many playoff teams are there? Who gives a fuck? Yeah, 6 teams. 3 teams for 2 spots. So it's going to be the Chargers and the Broncos and the Ravens or the Steelers for those 2 wildcard spots. The AFC, that picture is pretty straightforward now as far as what we're looking at. The NFC is a little more convoluted. Eagles at 12-2 are going to win that division now. Commanders don't really have a shot at winning at 9-5. Then the NFC West, totally up for grabs. Rams, who, again, if you watch the show, you know I like. Another team that a lot of people are talking about, old Stansel Ramos has been talking to them about them for weeks. A solid team in L.A. A great coach, possibly a Hall of Fame coach. A veteran quarterback, possibly a Hall of Fame quarterback in Matt Stafford. Pukanakwa. And the other guy. And that other guy. And a defense rounding into shape for the Rams. Be careful of the Rams. I like the Rams a lot. You don't want to. If the Rams make the playoffs, for all the reasons I just said, watch out. But the Rams at 8-6, the Seahawks at 8-6, and even the Cardinals, led by their fetal alcohol syndrome quarterback Kyler Murray, at 7-7. So that division is totally up for grabs with 3 weeks to play. And all of a sudden, everybody was on the Lions' cock. Obviously, if you watch this show, you know I haven't been because I pay attention. Lions 12-2, Vikings 12-2. Packers are there at 10-4. I don't see either of those teams losing enough games. I think the Packers are going to be in that wild card spot. Packers at 10-4. And the NFC South also up for grabs. Although I think the Bucs are going to run away with it now. Falcons are playing for their season this week. The Bucs are 8-6, the Falcons at 7-7, and the Saints finally, they were hanging on with that terrible, because how bad the division has been for a while there. But the Saints now at 5-9 are done. So wild card in the NFC, a little more convoluted. We have the Commanders at 9-5. We have the Rams and the Seahawks both at 8-6. Then we have the Cardinals in that division at 7-7. So one is going to be the Lions and Vikings. Whoever loses that division, both those teams are 12-2 right now. Safe bet that the Packers will be in there at 10-4. The NFC South isn't going to win the wild card, so the NFC South teams, the Bucs or the Falcons, they got to win that win to get in, because they're not going to be able to catch up. So it's going to be the Lions or the Vikings, and probably the Packers. Although outside shot, Packers are currently 10-4. Commanders are 9-5. Like I said, the Rams and the Seahawks will have to win. They're both at 8-6. They're probably whoever that NFC West. There's probably no wild card coming out of that division. So the Rams and the Seahawks, even the Cardinals, are going to have to win that division to make the playoffs. So it'll be the Lions or the Vikings, and then it'll be the Packers or the Commanders in all likelihood. There's your NFC playoff picture. Quickly, our dear friend Chris Mack, I saw, wrote a synopsis for me. Refs called 3 technical fouls on Celtics within like 90 seconds made it all about themselves. Heavy Twitter, Reddit criticism. Who knows if now the league. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I know. And with everything going on, Chris Mack, this is just another thing the NBA doesn't need. It seems like, and it feels like everything is kind of coming crashing down for the NBA at this point. Kind of interesting. I'm all for it. You got to break it down to rebuild, and it's been a terrible product for years. So hopefully this inspires them to change something. And yes, just because it's right below it. Yeah, Chris Mack, I ranted more about it last week. I know I didn't talk a ton about them this week. The Steelers are a very solid team and a very scary team right now. Be careful. Veteran Russell Wilson, Hall of Fame coach Mike Tomlin, some young talent there, a solid defense, sneaky solid defense. And again, unlike the Jets, a solid coaching staff. It's amazing what can happen. Yes, be careful for the Steelers. All right, power ranking time, and then it's pick time, and then let's all get on with our day. And people are not going to be happy, folks, with these power rankings because power rankings are power rankings. I don't go by the record, and you can call me retarded, but watch at the end of the day. These power rankings every year, without fail, prove to be correct. At number 6, as an honorable mention, I do have the Houston Texans. As an honorable, I usually just do 5, but I want to honorable mention the Texans. Be careful. I've talked about it enough this episode. If you watch the whole thing, I'm not going to say it again. The Lions dropping all the way down to 5. Still a lot of power on that offense. I get it. But now, losing Montgomery, tons of, I think, insurmountable injuries on defense. Still have the talent, so I'm keeping them in the top 5, but they are fading fast. At 4, the Bills, don't have them higher. If anything, I would have them lower. I'm telling you, I don't think the Bills have it. I watch a lot of them living in the Northeast. We see a lot of their games here. And I just don't, not only that, all their primetime games, I just don't see it. I don't see them matching up with the Chiefs. I don't see them matching up with the Ravens. I could see them getting beat by the I could see them getting beat by any team in the AFC. They're just not a powerhouse to me. But still talented enough. They're still at 4. And that should mean a lot to them to be at number 4 in Jim Stansel's power ranking. I don't care if they're in second place. I don't care if the Steelers beat them. I'm keeping the Ravens at 3. I love that. Similar to the Chiefs, they do what they have to do to make the playoffs. I know they probably wish they would do more. Now they're kind of scaring themselves. They're going to be in there. Don't worry. And Lamar has a ton to prove. Everybody's saying he can't pull it off in the playoffs or in the big spot. And he's got a huge game tomorrow. I'll get to the picks in a second. But I think the Steelers got to come into him tomorrow. I'll leave it at that. I got to put the Eagles at 2. The Eagles have rounded into shape. Unbelievable talent. Jalen Hurts, Saquon, Devonta Smith, and a defense finally putting it together. The Eagles are a scary team. I think they're the best team in the NFC, frankly. I don't give a fuck about the Lions. I don't give a fuck about the Vikings. I think the Eagles, talent-wise, are the best team in that NFC. And at number 1, you guessed it, folks, until proven otherwise, 13-1, the only one-loss team in the league, the Kansas City Chiefs. Back-to-back Super Bowl champions, Hall of Fame quarterback, who I know is injured. I don't think it's serious. Like I said, if I were them, I'd rest him these last 3 games. And another team, similar to the Ravens, but especially the Chiefs, they just do what they got to do to get in the dance. They're going to get their bye, and they're going to be ready to go for another Super Bowl run, and don't be surprised if they do just that. All righty, here we go. Folks, in the next, we're not going to count today. Let's see, Saturday. In the next 8 days, we have football Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I believe Saturday again. We have 7 games in the next 7 days. That can't be right. 7 games in 8 days. Whatever. There's a lot of games coming up. The point is, kick your wife down a flight of stairs or incapacitate her somehow. Hide her, maybe mortally injure her and just hide her. Just make sure she's not found for like a month. We got to watch the end of the season. Put your kids in foster care. You never liked them anyway. They're becoming a burden. They're annoying. Put your kids in foster care, and certainly put your mother in a nursing home. We are in the home stretch of the NFL. It is not time for family. It is not time for friends. It is time to either sit your fat ass at home in front of the TV and watch all the games, or go to your local haunt and get hammered drunk and yell with everybody else. But it is not a time for family, and certainly not a time for friends, folks. It is time, as you hear the music, it is time for the picks for the NFL week, 16? Here we go. Give me 1 second, please. With spreads. And Noah's ready to go out. We're going to wrap this bitch up. Here we go, boys and girls. All right, 1 o'clock tomorrow. Tomorrow, by the way, folks. Big heads up there. We're in it now, folks. The Texans at the Chiefs. Isn't that interesting right off the bat? Texans are getting 3.5. Is Mahomes playing? Let me quickly look it up. I don't have a producer, and I don't, cleared to start. Listen, I personally, honestly, if I were the Chiefs, I see no reason to start him. But it looks like he's starting tomorrow, and the Chiefs are home, and it's the middle of December. You know, I'm very tempted to take the Texans for all the reasons I said. They're pushing for a playoff spot, but Chiefs at home, December, 13-1. Mahomes playing. I got it. Give me the Chiefs minus 3.5. Sorry. Huge game here, folks. Huge game here. Tomorrow at 4:30. The 10-4 Steelers at the 9-5 Ravens. And it isn't interesting. The Ravens are giving 6.5. They're 6.5 point favorites at home to a team in front of them in the rankings. And that just goes to solidify my power rankings, folks. Like I said, it's not about the record, it's about the quality of the team. Lamar Jackson, brutal record against the Steelers for his career. They've talked about it all week. You know he's heard about it all week. I expect Lamar Jackson to have a huge game tomorrow. I'm actually going to take the Ravens minus the 6.5. I think they have a big day. They're coming off some tough losses. They're ready to make a statement. They're ready to reclaim that division, cement themselves. They're healthy. Give me the Ravens minus 6.5. I think Lamar Jackson has a huge day to shut everybody up tomorrow in Baltimore. The Rams at the pitiful Jets. The Jets won last week. They're getting only 3 points. I think the Rams take them to school. The Jets really have nothing to play for. Give me the Rams minus 3. The 12-2 Eagles at the Washington Redskins at 9-5, playing for their playoff lives to keep pace for that wild card. Commanders are getting 3.5. Like I said, I put my dick where my mouth is, just like Teamster Tim does. I'm going with the Eagles minus 3.5. I think they're rounding into shape at the right time. I think they are in a different class than the Redskins. Give me the Eagles minus 3.5 down there in D.C. The Giants at the Falcons. You know, if the Giants had any kind of talent, I would love to take the Giants here plus 8.5. But they... If it wasn't for the Panthers, the Giants are probably the worst team in the league right now. The Falcons are giving 8.5. You know what? Give me the Falcons minus 8.5. Penix Jr. has a coming out party. Let's go with that storyline. Penix Jr.'s first start at home against a 2-12 Giants team. Fuck it. Give me the Falcons minus 8.5. The Falcons aren't going anywhere, guys. The Kyler Murray led, who also has fetal alcohol syndrome. His mother was drinking in utero, yada, 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 as I say every week. 7-7 Cardinals at the terrible Panthers. Panthers are getting 5 at home. Give me, you know what? Fuck it. Who cares? Give me the Panthers plus 5. I think they're going to cover the spread. They're going to kind of play them tight here. I just have a feeling. Play a little spoiler. I don't know. Panthers at home, Cardinals outside in the elements. I don't fucking know. Who cares? That game sucks, frankly. Another pointless game. Browns at the Bengals. Bengals -9. Give me the Browns and Jameis Winston +9. No need to spend any time on that. Titans at the Colts. Colts desperately, barely hanging on to the playoffs by a thread. -3.5 at home. Yeah, give me the Colts -3.5. A lot of shitty matchups coming up here. Lions at the Bears. Bears +7 at home. As decimated as the Lions are, in my opinion, they're going to beat the Lions by more than a touchdown. Give me the Lions -7. Interesting game here. The 12-2 Vikings, the 8-6 Seahawks, trying to keep pace in that division. Seahawks have to win that division to make the playoffs. Both of these teams trying to keep pace at the top of their division. Seahawks getting 3 at home. Similar to Kansas City. December, Seattle. Yeah, give me the Seahawks at home, +3. Fuck it. The Patriots at the Bills. Bills -14. As much as I think everybody's too much on the Bills jock, Patriots fucking suck. So give me the Bills -14. Let's move on. Totally pointless game. Jags at Raiders. It's a pick'em. -1.5 Raiders. Give me the Raiders -1.5. Who cares? Another pointless game here. 49ers at Dolphins. It's a true pick'em. Dolphins -1. Give me the Niners +1. Interesting game Sunday night at least. Buccaneers. Only for the Buccaneers, but the Cowboys can play spoiler, which you know Jerry Jones would love to do. Cowboys getting 4 at home, not enough. Give me the Bucks -4 Sunday night. And Monday night, the Packers. You know, interesting in the. And that's it. I don't know, the Wi-Fi is going in and out. We did it again. Wi-Fi right on time is shitting out. Good, great. So let's end this. Just any last minute thing worth reading. Honky Tonk, Tennessee. Come back next week. We may try to do a Ski Mask Collected tomorrow. Stay tuned. I don't know if Ski Mask. I'm carrying all the weight here. Make sure you go on Twitter and ask Luis J. Gomez if he works out at Luis J. Gomez. Just comment on his post too. Just say, hey, do you work out? I can't tell by all your bitch-made posting that you do daily. And make sure if you're on Twitter, you understand that I'm doing satire by posting on Lewis's posts, and make sure you like those because it's funny because Lewis clearly gets mad. Finally responded yesterday. It's pretty funny. Patreon.com, Ski Mask Media. Look at it as a once-a-month super chat. $3 gets you everything. More shit going out for guys with real jobs, at least from me, on our Patreon than all these guys who actually do this for a living. Kind of embarrassing for them. And cut out the middleman if you like. Venmo, Mike Cowan, at Dave D. 20 fucking 3. I did it again. I'm the greatest. Ski Mask better give me the lion's share cut for this month because I have been putting on a clinic left and right. Another tremendous program. Episode 100 next week. Planning on doing it live with our old pal Ant Mead, Matt Mead, let's see, whatever the fuck. Maybe we'll get some other guests from Days of Yore to call in. Feel free to message me if there's anybody, probably maybe we'll get Kelly to call in for old time's sake. Maybe Courtney will come. Feel free to hit me up on whatever if you have any requests for the big 100th episode. Enjoy the football. Chris Benoit, your family. God bless you, and may God bless these United States of America. Count all the troops and bring home the votes. Goodbye, folks.